This video offers a glimpse into the extraordinary influence and the unimaginable grip Professor Mrs. Oyinade Olurin wielded over the Nigerian judiciary for 3 decades, through her secretly financed judicial influence peddling NGO, the Negotiation and Conflict Management Group, NCMG, which she launched just 4 months after Chief Odutola's murder. In fact, Mrs. Olurin helped cultivate the immense corruption in the Nigerian judiciary for over 30 years, using a significant portion of the vast wealth of Chief Timothy Adeola Odutola, which she violently and fraudulently seized on April 13, 1995, when Chief Odutola was murdered. This influence was extraordinary and unlike anything typical. It was not the usual bribery of a judge presiding over a specific case, far from it. This was 30 years of systemic influence, defined by continuous interaction and sustained engagement with the judiciary. Professor Mrs. Oyinade Olurin, through her son-in-law, Kehinde Aina, and her niece, Mrs. Adeyinka Aroyewun, was exerting influence over the appointment and promotion of justices within the Nigerian judiciary. After all, long-term influence ultimately depends on well-rewarded, loyal judges. In 1995, when Chief Odutola was murdered, the Nigerian judiciary was inadequately compensated. So, Professor Mrs. Oyinade Olurin's determination to evade prosecution, combined with her access to the vast wealth of one of Nigeria's wealthiest men at the time, made influencing the judiciary virtually effortless. Professor Mrs. Oyinade Olurin became even more desperate in May 2000, after the biological children won the first case against her at the High Court of Ogun State, Abeokuta. She then turned her attention to the head of the judiciary, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Muhammad Lawal Uwais. Please listen to the public tribute of Kehinde Aina, Mrs. Olurin's son-in-law and Negotiation and Conflict Management Group President and Frontman, by Justice Muhammad Lawal Uwais, former Chief Justice of Nigeria from 1995 to 2006, and the global chairman of Professor Mrs. Oyinade Olurin and Kehinde Aina's NGO, Negotiation and Conflict Management Group. Please listen carefully. Quote, "While he is often commended for being the brains behind the multi-door courthouse concept in most judiciaries in Nigeria, it is hardly remembered that Mr. Kehinde Aina financed the establishment of the Lagos multi-door courthouse, spent time away from his lucrative law practice to build, grow, and entrench the new project, and at the appropriate time handed over the project to the judiciary. He never earned a kobo. This, in my view, is commendable. I believe his example is worthy of emulation." End quote. Financed? Did Justice Muhammad Uwais say, financed? Yes, he did. No wonder Kehinde Aina on numerous occasions called himself the founder of the first court-connected ADR. Meanwhile, the Kehinde Aina whose praise Justice Uwais was singing did not have any lucrative law practice, and was a penniless lawyer from Ibadan, who only registered his law practice in January 2020, according to Corporate Affairs Commission's records. The money the crime boss, Professor Mrs. Oyinade Olurin, was providing her son-in-law, Kehinde Aina, was so much, Kehinde Aina forgot to practice law. Kehinde Aina could not have been financing a legal charity with proceeds from his law firm in 1995 when the NGO, Negotiation and Conflict and Management Group, was founded, or in 2002, when the Lagos multi-door courthouse was established. In fact, when NCMG was launched on August 26, 1995, Kehinde Aina was a penniless 35 years old and barely 5 years at the bar. What 35-year-old begins his legal career by spending large sums of money on a legal charity, hosting grand, judge-filled send-off parties for retiring judges, and organizing lavish luncheons for newly appointed judges? This should have put Chief Justice Muhammad Uwais, Supreme Court justices, and chief judges on inquiry. Yet no inquiries were made because money seems to flow everywhere. In truth, Kehinde Aina and his mother-in-law, Professor Mrs. Oyinade Olurin, were spending the proceeds from the murder of Chief Timothy Adeola Odutola to finance Lagos multi-door courthouse. Kehinde Aina, in an attempt to conceal the source of his sudden wealth, began promoting his organization, Ina Blankson Global as a Swiss Verein, claiming it had over 1,000 employees with offices in 20 countries, including Switzerland, the United Kingdom, and Singapore. These claims are entirely false. Kehinde Ina, in an attempt to further conceal the source of his sudden wealth, also claimed that in the early 1990s, as a rookie with Ina Blankson LP, he was thrown into a $950 million litigation at the Federal High Court over a Canadian vessel. In the early 1990s, Kehinde Ina had just finished law school. At that point, he had barely 1 or 2 years of practice. Really? No billion-dollar international maritime dispute gets handed to a brand-new law firm, let alone a rookie lawyer. Again, according to the Corporate Affairs Commission, Ina Blankson, LP was only registered in January 2020. And honestly, why would he call himself a rookie with Ina Blankson LP when that was his own firm? All of these claims are also full of lies and deception. To reinforce this fabricated image and elevate Kehinde Ina's status, his murderer mother-in-law, Professor Mrs. Oyinade Olurin, enrolled Kehinde Ina's 2 sons, now adults, at Eton College in the United Kingdom, a prestigious institution associated with the English upper class. Eton College registration and acceptance involve a multi-step process that typically starts a few years in advance. Once again, even if this fabricated image, fictitious status, and these lies were believable, what 35-year-old lawyer, just 5 years at the bar, would begin a legal career by pouring vast sums of money into a legal charity and hosting lavish, judge-filled send-off parties for retiring judges and organizing extravagant receptions to celebrate newly appointed judges? Professor Mrs. Oyinade Olurin, her son-in-law, Kehinde Ina, and her niece, Mrs. Adeyinka Aroyewun's agenda was simple: to graft themselves into the very fabric of the federal judiciary, while simultaneously compromising the police and officials of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The ultimate aim? To save Professor Mrs. Oyinade Olurin, Kehinde Ina, Mrs. Adeyinka Aroyewun, and several others from prosecution at the very least for fraud and theft, and in many cases for murder of Chief Timothy Adeola Odutola, as well as from being forced to make restitution for the funds stolen over the past 30 years.